Hi everyone, so I'm here today to talk about this foundation. It's the new Hard Candy Glamoflauge full coverage 16-hour wear oil-free foundation. And I just happened to see this in Walmart. I'm not at Walmart very often, but when I was, I always check out the makeup stuff, and this looked different from the old packaging, and I had not tried that formula before. I looked at this, it was very, very fair, so I thought, I gotta try this, gotta pick it up, it's affordable, etc. So I did pick up the lightest shade and two other shades down from it. I find that this color doesn't work by itself very well for me unless I wear it pretty sheer. It can just, it's got that like white cast look. It doesn't have enough warmth for me. So I picked up the next lightest shade, Ultra Light. Ivory is the lightest shade, Ultra Light, and then Vanilla, and Vanilla has more yellow to it, so what I'm wearing today is a mix of Ivory and Vanilla. So before we talk too much about my face and this foundation, let's take a look at the swatches. We can see how these shades look in comparison to some other foundations in my collection. Estee Lauder Double Wear in 0N1 Alabaster, NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop in Pale, Hard Candy Glamoflauge in 1500 Ivory, Hard Candy Glamoflauge in 1502 Vanilla, NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop in Fair, NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, Clinique Even Better CN 0.5 Shell, a good shade match for me, Hard Candy Glamoflauge in 1501 Ultra Light, Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth in 102 Fair Porcelain, Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in 102 Fair Porcelain, Smashbox Studio Skin Hydrating in 0.1, also a good shade match, Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte in 100, another one I can wear easily, and Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Foundation Stick in 090 and Ivory. Some of these have dried, some are still wet. The NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop shades are dry, they dry super fast. The Hard Candy, let's see, it's still a little wet in the places where it's thicker. These I feel like are pretty similar, the NYX and the Hard Candy. The NYX has more of a cool yellow. This still has a yellow undertone, but it's just not quite the same. Both of these I feel like look pretty stark white on my face. All right, so my face. I'm 38 years old. My kind of problem areas, problem issues, things I want foundations to deal with. I have some redness in my face. I have noticeable pores. I have, you know, things tend to crease in my smile lines. Things tend to settle into my pores as they wear. And yeah, I'm just dealing with some texture, some redness, and I have dry cheeks, and I have some dermatitis underneath my lip, around my nose. I also have a cold right now, so my nose is kind of a disaster. And my T-zone tends to be kind of moderately oily. In the winter it can be a little bit less oily, but it does tend to be quite a bit more oil production than the rest of my face. So this foundation, it does sit on top of like active flaky skin quite well, surprisingly. It just kind of, at least with a sponge, you just like stamp it down and it's there, and it doesn't accentuate the flakes, which is surprising. Does it claim to be a matte foundation? I don't even know. We'll see what the bottle says. It says Hard Candy Glamoflauge Full Coverage Foundation is an oil-free, long-wearing, super smooth liquid foundation. No, super smooth liquid makeup that lasts for up to 16 hours, glides on effortlessly, leaving skin looking naturally flawless without caking, creasing, or fading for hours. Lightweight formula offers full coverage, yet feels weightless and comfortable, with added vitamin E, available in a wide range of buildable shades. Apply to face and blend with fingertip, sponge, or blender. What's a blender if it's not a sponge? So I'm curious, they don't call out brushes specifically. I cannot apply foundation with brushes. It will make it like slide across my face and settle into my pores. So this formula, I just want to talk about the formula a little bit in regards to the swatches and how it works on your face. I feel like I have so much information that I want to share on this foundation because it is challenging to use that I want to make sure I cover so many different things. So hopefully it won't be too scattered. The color of the lightest shade is light. It swatches lighter than anything else I have. When I had a thick swatch and it dried down, it had like a shiny plasticky thing. It's so different from any other formula I've used, and I've used a lot of foundation formulas. And it didn't darken really as it dried. It just set into this like weird strip of plastic the first time I swatched it. So the lightest shade does look lighter than some very, very fair shades that I have. Those shades kind of darken and set down in the way you would expect a formula to do that, like a foundation to do that. So as far as how light it is comparable to Estee Lauder, Double Wear, and Alabaster, which has more yellow undertones. Cloud has a little bit more pink undertones. It is very fair. I don't think it looks quite right on my face if I do anything more than sheer to maybe light coverage. So I would prefer to mix it with vanilla. Vanilla is way too dark for me to wear alone. Even half and half is too dark for me. So I just tried to do like 3:1 of the Ivory plus 1 of vanilla. And I feel like that gives me a little bit more warmth, looks a little bit more natural to the rest of my body. The big trouble with this though, which I will show you what happens when I don't use it right. So what I tried to do first today was mix it. I put it on part of my face, took more off of my hand from that first mix, tried to put it on the rest of my face. That's where I went totally wrong. So if I do that, it's like it's already begun to do whatever it does to start setting. Now it doesn't fully dry down and set for a good 1 to 2 hours on my face on top of skincare, but there's something that happens to the formula where it starts like seizing up and getting very grippy, and I can't get it to go into the pores on my face. It will just like stamp down product without actually getting into the pores. So I showed you, zoomed in, what happened when I tried to use that product that was already mixed for half of my face. I wasn't dawdling, I was trying to move fast. I know I need to move fast with this foundation, and still I could not use what was already on my hand for the other side of my face. So this might actually be really helpful to see the kinds of struggles I've had with this foundation. I'm going to take this off and do it again, and hopefully I will have better results. Okay. So can you see what it's doing here on my pores? It's like it's sitting on top of them and not going into my pores. And everything's worse on this side because where I got it applied quickly, where it was totally fresh on this side, looks so much better. So for this makeup application, you'll see I mixed some, I put it on, and I put it on a little heavier than I was expecting just because I knew I had to like smear it on my face and go. So I put pretty good coverage on, and then I wiped off my hand. I mixed some more, 3 of Ivory, 1 of vanilla, mixed it up, put it on my face, and then that was it. It was like, I gotta blend out the edges, make sure to blend around my chin, because it dries, and I've never had a foundation where like I had like a visible, like a line, like foundation and skin, and there is a very noticeable amount of like set product there. I've never seen that on my face before. The way I do makeup just never happens. So that was strange. So I try to be really careful, blend the edges, blend everywhere as fast as I can before it starts setting down, because as soon as it starts to set and I try to go over that area that's starting to set, it will lift up. And I think I showed that too, where I was trying to tap out this crease in my smile line and it picked up the product. All right, so we can see, look at this. It's like a million times better. You see? I can't touch it. It, like, when I just tried to smooth out that crease a little, it lifted up the product, which like accentuated the pores right there. You really, really can't mess with this after it's on. And I think part of it is the skincare I'm using underneath, because I think it's a little easier to work with if you're using something less sticky. To set it, I'm using my NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder Pressed. This is the powder that works best for me for wear. If a foundation is too light though, this can definitely accentuate that and kind of add a white cast. Since I mix these, I feel like the color is a little bit better, so I think I should be okay setting it with this. So I am going to set it everywhere. It will dry down itself eventually, but I prefer to set it because it takes a while. On me with this skincare, it takes about an hour or two. And because it behaves so poorly if I touch it when it's not set, I would rather just set it with a powder. And it wears really nicely for me when I set it with this powder. So, and combining like concealer, I've not had good luck with putting concealer and having it touch the edges of the foundation. I just feel like I have to get my base products, all the liquid products, on as fast as I can. Now, so that's kind of crazy. This, I don't know if it's worth the effort. If you could find a color that is a good match for you where you don't have to mix any of the shades, I think it's a lot easier to deal with. And also, if you can wear something as a base that's a little bit more slippery. So my holy grail favorite SPF leaves a very grippy finish. For me, that means it holds on to foundation really well. And this is the Paula's Choice Resist Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense SPF 30. This works so well for me for keeping foundation on my face. It does have kind of a grippy finish. Yesterday, when I applied just the Ivory without anything else to show you what it looked like, I also had a different SPF on just so I could see how it wears and how it applies. It definitely applied a little more easily over this, and this is the Paula's Choice Defense Essential Glow Moisturizer SPF 30. So I imagine if you're using anything that doesn't have a texture like this, it's probably going to be a little bit easier. I feel like it just grabs on and sets really hard, really fast. With this, like, it's that initial kind of like it's forming a film. So it might have actual film forming agents in it. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the ingredients. But that combined with this is just like, whoa. So yeah, I think the skincare you have underneath it may affect how easy or not easy it applies, and that's something to consider. And I also used a couple primers today. I have tested this with primers. So what I used on my nose was the Tatcha Silk Canvas, because I have found that this works pretty well, and this foundation and my skincare, this primer on my nose. This primer does not work very well for me elsewhere. So what I put with this foundation, what I put elsewhere is the Revlon Photoready Pore Reducing Primer. And I was hoping that that would help. I have noticed that that helps a little bit with how my pores look, how it sits on my pores, how it applies, whatever. So I've found that's a good fit for me. I can do it without primers, and it will look okay without primers. My question will be today is if I don't get the weird kind of cracking that I do get when I don't use any primer. That we'll see. As I recall in the past, it did still do that kind of like weird microfine cracks. It's like, what it looks like is it has that film, kind of that plasticky film, and it's not quite flexible enough. So throughout the day, it will just start kind of splitting in the areas where you have movement, and it's very peculiar. And I'm sure we will see as I do a check-in, what it looks like when that happens, because I'll be pretty surprised if it doesn't happen. Yeah, so it doesn't, for me, it doesn't move around at all during the day. It might rub off, like if I have to blow my nose. I do have a cold. I'm going to try to avoid blowing my nose today, but it will rub off. So it's not transfer proof by any means, but I haven't had it where it moves like settling into my pores or sinking into creases. Once it's set, it's set. The issue I have is like my face is moving and the product's not moving enough, so it will kind of crack. And it doesn't look dry when it cracks. It just looks like there's kind of a break in the foundation. It's very strange. And I don't think, the only other product that I've seen that does something similar to that on me sometimes is the Smashbox Studio Skin Hydrating 15-Hour Wear Foundation in 0.1. That one also will do that sometimes to be, but not nearly as much, not to the same extent. But it does feel like a similar kind of formula. This one is just a lot harder to work with and like a more extreme version of the issues I have with the Smashbox with this one, where that one, it's like I do definitely have to be careful about not messing with it after it starts its setting process, which happens kind of fast, but it's not nearly as fast as this hard candy. So while I really enjoy how this wears throughout the day for the most part, getting it on my face successfully is, I can't guarantee, there's no guarantee when I sit down to do my makeup that I'm gonna get it on my face and not have it look so bad that I want to take it off. And that makes me not want to wear it, because it's like, I don't want to take the time to take it off and put it back on again. Or put something else on because I don't want to deal with it potentially not working right again. So that's where I'm at. I do feel like if I had a better color match, then I would probably have an easier time getting it on. I don't know. So anyway, I will be back to check in with you guys. I don't know if I'm going to do a midday check-in. If I notice that it's starting to crack and look funky, I'll probably check in earlier rather than later. Otherwise, I will see you around 8 o'clock probably. I did put this foundation on at 10:30, and I would like to check in around 9.5 or 10 hours so we can take a look to see how it's wearing. So yeah, I will see you in a bit. Hi everyone. So it is 8:43. So it has been a little bit over 10 hours since I put this foundation on. It's still looking good. I feel like I'm not even shiny. Let's zoom in. We'll look to see how it's wearing. So there are a couple spots up here. It's just a little bit more, a tiny bit kind of cakey looking, just a little bit up on my upper lip, and also like a little bit down here. But like my chin itself, which is a big problem area, looks fine, looks good. My nose looks good. I mean, I have so much product that has not moved on my face. I was wearing sunglasses briefly, like 15-20 minutes, and I don't think it moved anything around, which is surprising, because usually any foundation I wear, even if it's for that super short period of time, it will move around. So that's kind of encouraging. My nose is like crusty from a cold, and it's really not bad at all. Like, this is kind of how it started out at the beginning of the day. It's gotten a tiny bit drier, but really not much drier. And yeah, like my cheek products are still there. I guess I'll blot. I really don't expect to really get anything. I don't feel oily in the slightest. Like, this is the least oily feeling I've felt with a foundation in ages. Yeah, I guess there is some oil under there, but it really couldn't feel it at all. And you can't see it. And this doesn't claim to be like oil controlling or matte. So yeah, there was a moderate, not a ton of oil, but there was definitely oil there. I couldn't see it or feel it. I guess I look a little bit more matte now. But I didn't feel like I looked greasy. I felt like I just looked a little bit dewy. And And under these lights, you know, everything reflects back so much that every little bit of oil is like really magnified. So yeah, this foundation is quite the conundrum because it is so hard for me to get on my face in a way that is looking good and acceptable. But once it's on my face, especially if I can set it with that NARS powder, it's just like locked in all day and it just doesn't move. And that's amazing. But given how difficult it is to apply, it makes me a little bit hesitant to recommend it because it's so difficult to apply. But I really do think that this is one that I feel like if you don't have to mix shades, it's probably going to be easy to use, just knowing that you need to kind of move fast, and anywhere where you have like, you don't want to let one side of your face like set and it sets so fast. It's not, it will still feel sticky, but it's like it starts setting up and getting grippy. And if you do that, if you leave it too long and then try to put product right next to it or on top of it, it's going to show and it's going to look patchy and weird. And if you touch it, it might lift off. The shade issue is definitely for the people out there that are like Too Faced, Born This Way, and Cloud, you know, very fair with neutral undertones. I think that this would be great. If you're a little bit lighter than me, also I think this would be a great option. If you are my skin tone, or a little bit darker, I don't think that there is a color that's really going to work for you straight out of the bottle. Since it's so cheap, it's not a big deal to buy two, but you know, the problem comes with mixing it and having it set up so fast and whatever. So definitely I feel like it's worth trying, it's worth experimenting with, but just knowing, kind of going into it, that it is a tricky formula, but getting it to work, you know, the payoff is pretty great. So I've already started trying to edit this video and I have so much stuff I want to include. I have a feeling this is probably going to be a long one, but this is a foundation that I feel like really needs a lot of exclamation and demonstration and discussion. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, requests. I always love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video today. And if you want to see more videos from me and you aren't already, then please do subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload. So I do a lot of stuff about foundation. A lot of my videos these days are about foundation. So if you're interested in foundation, then you might want to subscribe. I hope you are having a wonderful day and I'll see you soon.